Have you ever noticed that some women don't flirt directly? Instead, they subtly test your conscience, especially if you're a man over 50. Women behave differently in your presence. They don't want to be needed. They don't want to seem too easy. That's why they ask certain questions instead. And that's exactly what most men don't understand. A woman attracted to an older man almost always asks two very specific questions. It's like a hidden message. But it's obvious. Before I reveal it, I'd like to ask you a small favor. Click no and comment if you've ever missed a woman's signals and only realized it later. Your participation helps reach more men who need this information. Men over 50 often feel overlooked by younger women or even women their own age. But the truth is quite different. Mature men generally feel more attracted to women than ever before when they truly understand their behavior. The real problem isn't the women. That's a misunderstanding. She thinks she's only being nice if she invites you out. Women rarely show open interest. They're testing your emotional calmness, your charisma, and your ability to notice small details. Female psychology works in subtle ways. And when a woman perceives you as someone she can trust emotionally, physically, and intimately, her energy shifts from casual conversation to focused interest. It begins with questions designed to uncover three things: your strength as a man, whether you come across as assertive and self-confident, your emotional and practical availability, and your perceptiveness, that is, whether you can recognize genuine interest. It is precisely then that the two crucial questions arise. To understand why they are so important, one must recognize the psychological truth behind them. Many men over 50 expect clear, simple signals because they grew up in a time of more direct communication. Women, on the other hand, even mature women, express their interest differently today. They don't say, "I'm too late for you." I wish that emotional maturity would prevail over physical attraction. "I think of you romantically." Instead, they explore the man. Women often ask specific questions to find out if he's someone they can befriend, without fear of rejection. This is precisely where many women harbor an unspoken fear, especially towards older men. If she shows her interest too obviously, she fears he might think she's needed. Therefore, she hides her affection behind curiosity. She asks questions that would seem pointless to a man who doesn't pay attention to her. And if you don't notice her, she usually won't repeat the offer. Women rarely make the same emotional invitation twice. The female psyche is complex. Women use questions much like men use actions. When a man feels threatened by someone, he offers help, advice, support, or protection. When a woman feels threatened by someone, she asks a question that signals closeness. There are many pointless questions a woman might ask in everyday life, but only two keep recurring when she becomes intimate with a mature man. I'll mention them shortly, but first, it's important to clarify something. She doesn't ask these questions because she wants to invade his life. She asks because she wants to sense his inner peace. She wants to feel if he is calm, if he is grounded, if he is open to her energy, if he embraces his masculinity or hides behind politeness. These questions are not aimed at gathering information, but at establishing connection. They create a small distance between you and her. Imagine them as emotional bridges that she carefully places to see if you cross them mindfully. And if you do, everything in your mind and body changes. Most men answer these questions literally. A smarter, more insightful man, however, understands the deeper meaning of her words, because when she asks these questions, she isn't gathering data. She's checking whether their intentions align. She's testing your conscience. She wants to know if you're one of those men who see beyond the surface. If a woman is attracted to you, she doesn't need your money, your strength, or your stories. She needs to feel that you are attentive, present, and calm. These two questions are important because they are not mere inquiries. They are invitations. The first question she asks a man she desires isn't about his schedule, but about his heart. She wants to know if there's emotional room for her in his life. It's not a purely practical question. It's a psychological question. It's about whether you're open or closed off. Can you connect? Or are you hiding in your routines? Can I get closer to you without the psychology behind attraction holding me back? Women don't like to waste emotional energy. That's why they test openness before showing deeper interest. The first question is her version of how a man approaches a woman to see if she'll approach him or withdraw. Most men completely forget this, however, because they assume she just wants to chat. The second question she asks when seeking closeness concerns her direction. Not his goals or his career, but his inner compass. She wants to know if his life has meaning, dynamism, and masculine stability. Women don't open up to men who withdraw. They open up to men who seem distant, men who know who they are and where they stand. This question reveals to you Is this man emotionally vibrant? Does he seem grounded? Can I feel safe in his presence? Does he set boundaries or drift aimlessly through life? The second question doesn't concern itself with details. It's about your body. When she asks you, she's imagining what it would be like to be near you. A woman may be attracted to a man's body, but she will only approach him if she desires his presence. And this question becomes the key for her to truly get to know the man inside you. Such questions are very important to men over 50. When a man reaches 50 or 60, many women have certain expectations of him. They believe he has already had most of his emotional experiences. That's why they hesitate to enter his life until they're sure they're more than just a minor character. These two questions are dirty, simple, almost invisible. Is she trying to find out if there's room for her? And whether the man she desires leads a meaningful life or is simply drifting aimlessly? You can ignore the applause. You can pay attention to body lines. But if you forget these two questions, you miss the moment when a woman tries to open a door. And once the door is closed, most women don't open it again. When a woman longs for closeness with an older man, not just friendly conversation, but genuine emotional and physical connection, she assesses his character. She tests this connection using two specific questions. These questions are asked time and again across cultures, ages, and social classes, because they come directly from female psychology. Here they are. The first question: do you spend a lot of time alone? It might seem pointless, but it isn't. It's your way of asking, do you have enough personal space? The first question women always use to test me in their world. Is he open or closed off? Does he allow for intimacy? Or is he trapped in his routines? Women ask him these questions in different ways. For example, do you usually go out alone? Are you rather withdrawn? Do you seem like someone who enjoys being alone? Is that true? Are you in a relationship? Or have you been spending a lot of time by yourself lately? This question is never about loneliness. It's about closeness. A woman will only ask you that if she already considers you part of her personal circle, someone close to her. She's trying to figure out if you're welcome or emotionally unavailable. If she didn't have feelings for you, she wouldn't care how you spend your time. But if she feels drawn to the stability and calm that many mature men exude, she wants to know if she can enter their world without imposing herself. Many men answer quite literally, yes, I am very lonely. No, it's not that simple. It depends. But a steadfast man understands the meaning behind it. She tests his openness. She tests whether he is available. She's testing whether her closeness to you is reciprocated and if attraction is developing. Remain balanced, calm, assertive, and open, but never needy. Say something like, I need my space, but I always enjoy pleasant company. Or, I like my routines, but I'm open to someone who can contribute something meaningful. This serves two purposes at once. It shows emotional openness without seeming desperate, and that subtly suggests that she could be someone you could let into your life. That's exactly the tone women want: open but not cold, receptive but not needy, and strong without seeming cold. If you react this way, she feels safe, vulnerable, and emotionally secure. And that naturally leads you to the second question, the question that reveals your deeper interest. The second question is, what are you looking for these days? This question should never be asked casually. This isn't small talk. This isn't mere curiosity. She's a woman considering you as a romantic option. If she didn't have feelings for you, she would never ask such a direct question. It seems very personal, very exposed, and very intimate. Women save this question for men they see as potentially important in their lives. And here, too, she can express it differently. What do you currently desire in life? What direction are you taking? What have you been focusing on lately? And finally, what do you wish for in this phase of your life? What do you hope for in the coming days? Women ask themselves this second question to recognize their inner direction. For a woman to open herself emotionally or physically to a man, especially a mature man, she must feel something important. She needs to feel that he knows who he is, that he knows what he wants, that he isn't drifting aimlessly through life, that he isn't trapped in old emotional patterns. He doesn't simply pass through time. He acts purposefully. This question helps her recognize whether this man's life is heading in a direction that I too could take. Who has the strength to provide security and emotional guidance? Does he have an emotional, physical, and interpersonal goal in mind? Is he the man I could confide my vulnerability to? Men who answer literally don't realize they're ruining the moment. When a man says, I'm just looking for peace, or I'm taking each day as it comes, or I'm not sure at the moment, she hears something else. She hears movement. and women don't invest in men who are proactive, regardless of age. If you want to respond with masculine clarity, you don't need a long explanation. You don't have to tell your whole life story. All you need is a clear direction. For example, you could say, I'm building a simpler but stronger chapter with the right people. Or, I'm looking for a connection that feels natural, not forced. Or I focus on consciously enjoying experiences and meaningful moments. Such reactions achieve 3 things for her. They show her that I'm making progress and not standing still. They demonstrate emotional clarity, showing that one knows what one wants. And they create a calm space in which she can imagine herself pursuing her path. That is very valuable for a woman. She gets the signal she's been waiting for, proof that you're not emotionally stuck, because that's something most men over 50 don't quite grasp. Women desire a man who is vibrant on the inside, not just physically present, but also emotionally engaged. These 2 aspects are closely linked to female desire, and that's why women don't test men indiscriminately. They're testing your emotional readiness. If she asks, do you spend a lot of time alone? If she's assessing your openness. If she asks these days, what are you looking for? She wants to know where you're going. And the logic is simple. A man who acts openly and purposefully makes an emotional leap. He becomes someone brave enough to leave. Women don't need perfection. They need clarity. Clarity creates security, and security awakens desire. That's why these 2 questions keep coming up, even if the woman isn't aware of why she's asking. Imagine the situation in a real moment. You're talking to a woman, perhaps in a cafe, a bookstore, at a meeting with friends, or even online. The conversation feels sluggish. There's a quiet, almost a gentle tension. She laughs a little more than necessary. She touches your hair. She looks at you calmly. Then she suddenly asks, do you spend a lot of time alone? That's her first emotional step towards you. She opens the door a crack. If you respond attentively, she feels encouraged. If you react with confusion or remain silent, the mood immediately sours. Minutes or days later, she asks, what are you looking for? This second question marks the attraction phase in your life. This is your second step. Here, she decides whether she wants to go deeper. If you answer clearly, she feels reassured. If you answer uncertainly, she withdraws. Men think these moments are random, but they aren't. These are emotional checkpoints. And women almost never ask men these 2 questions. They simply don't feel like it. One thing you should never forget. A woman who longs for closeness won't say so openly. She won't trust you. She won't pressure you. She'll ask you 2 things. Are you emotionally open? Do you spend a lot of time alone? Are you emotionally alive? What are you looking for right now? These questions aren't about your plans. It's about your energy. When you perceive it, you experience the moment with full presence. When you don't perceive it, the moment slips away. Women rarely extend the same emotional invitation twice. When they open a door, it's only once. If you want to remember only one thing, remember that. A woman doesn't test your words. She tests whether you notice your presence. If you recognize the question she uses to signal her interest, you'll never again ask a woman if she's interested in you. Before you leave, help this channel grow. Comment with the phrase, I see the signs below, to show you understand the message and are ready to apply it. Your engagement helps reach more men who need this message. Women communicate their attraction to men in subtle, exciting, and often invisible ways, while men expect direct signals. This is especially important for mature men, as women perceive older men differently than younger ones. They expect more depth, more presence, and more clarity. A younger man can be confused, insecure, or inconsistent, and still be seen as someone finding his way in life. A man over 50, however, is judged by different standards. Women assume he has accumulated enough life experience to know who he is and what he wants. Therefore, her interest is expressed more through emotional signals than through obvious gestures. When a woman asks questions about your openness or your goals, she's not just trying to gather information. She's trying to understand your emotional state. She wants to know if you're getting closer to her. Christmas isn't about whether you older men pass these tests or not. It's about how deeply you see her, how intensely you engage with her, and how consciously you make her feel loved. Christmas is more than just gifts, lights, and traditions. It's about presence, connection, and the small gestures we use to show someone they are seen, valued, and loved. For women, Christmas can evoke emotions more intensely than any other time of year. It's about memories, expectations, and desires that intertwine to create an emotional landscape that can be as beautiful as it is vulnerable. If you truly want to touch her heart this Christmas, it's not about lavish spending or grand gestures. It's about 3 essential things communicating with each other: understanding, care, and emotional closeness. First, listen carefully. Don't just hear the words, but feel the emotions behind them. This usually leads to a reflection on the past year, on hopes, losses, and joys. When you listen with an open mind and without distractions, when you pay attention to their tone of voice, their pauses, and the unexpected digressions in their words, you create a safe space for connection. Deep listening is not passive. It is active presence. It means that your inner self is more important to you than the superficial things of the season. You can tell when a man is truly attentive because it demonstrates emotional commitment. This active attention is attractive, nurturing, and memorable because it conveys that you are fully seen and heard. Next, you should create a moment of intimacy and quiet. This doesn't necessarily mean a romantic gesture, although that can certainly be part of it. It's about giving her an experience where she feels loved, safe, and emotionally connected to you. It could be a quiet walk in the sea of lights at night, a profound conversation on the ground, or even a small shared ritual with meaning. The most important insight and the key to a fulfilling relationship lies in conscious creation, in doing something that requires reflection, presence, and emotional engagement. Women are drawn to moments where effort is authentic, where the experience is personalized, and where the goal isn't to impress but to connect. Such moments are remembered far longer than material gifts. Thirdly, you should show her your unique qualities. Every woman wants to be recognized for who she truly is, not just as a partner, friend, or companion, but as a multifaceted and vibrant individual. This Christmas, take some time to reflect on her qualities, her friends, her challenges, and her impact on your life. A handwritten card, a heartfelt round of applause, or any gesture that honors her individuality will show her that you understand and value her. Women respond deeply to recognition because it touches them emotionally. They feel seen, valued, and emotionally connected. This creates a feeling of closeness that has nothing to do with decoration, expensive gifts, or merely ostentatious effort.